As The Legend of Zelda has ventured into the open world formula with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, the complexity of the games has increased alongside the development time. Remakes have been going above and beyond recently with fantastic releases like Dead Space, Resident Evil 4, and also Final Fantasy VII Remake, with some remakes taking the story to wild new places. Well, today I want to have a look at the prospect of Nintendo remaking Ocarina of Time and pulling a Final Fantasy VII Remake twist and playing with the story for our next Legend of Zelda adventure. Well, Nintendo are likely to release their new Switch 2 console in 2024, and having just released Tears of the Kingdom in 2023, it's not likely that we're going to get a new open world Zelda anytime soon. Breath of the Wild's development time was about 5 years, and Tears of the Kingdom was about 6 years. Following that logic, if Nintendo wanted to release another open world Zelda game, then we're not realistically going to see that before 2028 or 2029. So I really doubt that Nintendo want to leave a huge gap between Zelda releases, so I think it is highly likely the team are busy working on something to tide us over until the next mainline Legend of Zelda adventure. So we've got a few options in terms of what they could deliver: a remake, a remaster, or an original 2D Zelda. Well, first of all, let's have a look at the prospect of a remake or a remaster. So there's been plenty of talk about Ocarina of Time recently. The 25th anniversary has just passed, with fans putting together an Unreal Engine 5 character model and Studio Ghibli-esque fan project. That was absolutely fantastic. Definitely go and check that out. Really, really good stuff. So Ocarina of Time has seen a couple of upgrades since its original release in 1998. In 2003, for example, it was re-released on GameCube, packed with Wind Waker and the extra Master Quest levels. Then in 2011, Grezzo gave it the remake treatment and released it on Nintendo 3DS. And the original is also available to play on Nintendo Switch Online as part of the N64 collection of games. Well, if you haven't played Ocarina of Time, perhaps you were maybe introduced to the Zelda series through Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, well then it is definitely well worth going back to play Ocarina of Time. So even though the game feels dated compared to modern standards, the magic is definitely still there. The dungeon design still wows to this day. It definitely beats most temple designs from the modern Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom era. So for example, the Forest Temple as adult Link is absolutely iconic, and it just has to be experienced. So while the original 1998 version of Ocarina of Time feels a bit dated, the 2011 3DS remake had a look at some of the major pain points in the game, offering an updated experience. Graphics were updated, the inventory was improved, the Water Temple saw gameplay improvements, Navi gave more helpful advice, and the animations were overhauled. A remaster of the 3DS version of Ocarina of Time with updated visuals, similar to Link in Smash Bros. Ultimate, well, I think that would be absolutely incredible. Grezzo brought us an updated version of Link's Awakening with its gorgeous and unique art style, and that was brought to Nintendo Switch in 2019. We then had an HD version of Skyward Sword brought to Nintendo Switch, removing the need for motion controls and bringing one of the best stories in the Zelda series to the masses via Nintendo Switch. Well, could Ocarina of Time be next? Well, it is certainly high up there on the list for a remake or a remaster. You could argue it's difficult to remake a classic like Ocarina of Time, and given it's playable on Nintendo Switch today, well, what would be the point? However, there is inspiration out there from another Japanese company which could show the way, and that is Final Fantasy VII Remake from Square Enix. They've turned their classic Final Fantasy VII game into a multi-part release, and everything has been updated, including the story. With Final Fantasy VII, Square Enix are going into much more depth with their characters, plus they're creating a new story which is more like a Final Fantasy VII sequel rather than a remake, with a branching story taking the game in new directions and rewriting history. Now, what if Nintendo did the same thing with Ocarina of Time? So perhaps Link did something in the past which could change the future, and the Zelda timeline is changed forever. It could be more interesting than just a straight remake, although it is a risky move for Nintendo to be playing around with arguably one of the best games ever made. Now, Final Fantasy VII significantly changed the story in the first part of their remake, and that's led fans to be hugely excited for the sequel coming early in 2024. So in the original game, Cloud and Barret blow up Shinra's reactor, but in the remake, Shinra do it themselves. War is more profitable than energy, and that shows the more sinister side of the corporate giant. Sector 7 has a new hidden lab with Shinra flexing their evil muscles even more by conducting their secret underground experiments. And then we've got the Whispers of Fate, hooded spirits who seemingly prevent Cloud from dying after he falls into Sector 5. There's also changes to Sephiroth's role as well, but that, to be honest, a little bit too much of a spoiler to go into. Could Nintendo employ a similar tactic with an Ocarina of Time remake? Given Link has the ability to travel through time in the game, Nintendo could go above and beyond a simple remake and significantly alter the story. If it goes well, it could be an absolute masterstroke. I do have faith that Nintendo could pull it off, and it could have implications for the Zelda timeline overall. Nintendo hasn't outright said that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are a story reset, but this could be a chance to make some changes, given Ocarina of Time sits at the point where the story branches off into 3 different paths. Well, that is my thoughts on an Ocarina of Time remake, and I'd love to see Nintendo do something a little bit different compared to, a standard remake, but another option for the next Zelda game could be an original 2D Zelda. We've seen Nintendo go back to 2D Mario recently with Super Mario Bros. Wonder with great success. It's in the running for Game of the Year and is currently sitting at 92 on Metacritic. The last time we got a 2D Zelda game was Triforce Heroes back in 2015, although Cadence of Hyrule was released in 2019 by Brace Yourself Games in partnership with Nintendo. Having recently played through A Link to the Past and Link's Awakening, these games still hold up today, and a brand new 2D Zelda game created by a younger Zelda team could be the perfect way to bring some fresh ideas into the series. Nintendo employed a similar tactic with Super Mario Bros. Wonder, blending a team with new and older members, allowing younger Nintendo developers to step up to the plate and present their ideas. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is absolutely packed full of new ideas, and that same thinking could be applied to Zelda. That could be magic waiting to happen. Well, let me know down in the comments what you think about the potential of an Ocarina of Time remake, and what do you think about it in terms of being like a Final Fantasy VII remake where some changes are made, and also what do you think about the idea of a new 2D Zelda game? Well, that is it today for my thoughts on an Ocarina of Time remake, and as always, thank you so much for watching or for listening. Well, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, we'd really appreciate it. Also, if you hit that like button, that would really help me out on the channel as well. Well, thanks again, and I will see you very soon.